for the standing, and since all of the teams are currently fighting to qualify for the mid-season brawl, that could really come back to bite you in the end.
Good point there, Caldor. Every single map win, very important for the MSB that will be happening in a few weeks. We only have 5 weeks to play here in the league play that our teams have to be considerate of. Now, for our third battleground, we are going to Infernal Shrines. It looked like Fnatic picked the battleground there.
Yep.
Which means Dignitas will be having first pick once again.
Fnatic picking another battleground that they are traditionally strong on. It's interesting to me, Battlefield was not banned out, but they are not picking Battlefield. And that surprises me slightly, because Fnatic has, it's the best map, hands down. They have a 5-1 track record on the map, so they're really strong there. And Dignitas just won yesterday for the first time on Battlefield. They haven't played it a lot. They have a 1-1. Just feels that Fnatic respects the map a lot, feels that Dignitas should, with the meta they play and also with the style that they use in those games, have the advantage over them. But so far they've chosen 2 maps, both of them are good for them, but they neglected the one where they were strongest in Phase 1, Part 1.
I mean, we'll never have a full understanding of the inner workings of a team and what they want to pick, but we do know that there's some shot calling calls that are happening here. Bad Benny currently going for the shot calls, and that means the map priority has changed a lot. I mean, we got that already noticed when we went to Dragonshire in game number 1. That was something that we used to have banned out all the time. So maybe BOE is a battleground that right now they're having a bit of a rough time on.
Could be, yeah, for sure. The one thing to also consider here as we're heading into Infernal Shrines, later down in the draft, with Fnatic, Kel'Thas is always an option. Not saying that it's going to be picked here, but Fnatic is the one team that has consistently put Kel'Thas out there. Just mages in general for Mena, of course, very strong. We saw how much of an impact he had in the last game, even though his death led to the loss of Fnatic then eventually. But it's still something to consider. But first, we're starting the game off very traditionally. We have a ban against Maiev right away, and Fnatic is getting rid of Medivh. So the exact same ban patterns that we had in game number 2. And last time we saw Dignitas respond with Garrosh being picked on the first spot, something that could still happen here, but there's of course a lot of very strong alternatives, as for example, Malfurion.
Question for me, I'm wondering to see if Sonya's going to be a higher priority. Oh my gosh, well there it is. Sonya, first picked here for Dignitas. Sonya strong on this battleground for being able to clear out those shrines, but also to dive forward whenever a Punisher is actually grabbed. I was also wondering about Tracer a little bit here, her being left open, but this is a battleground that when Tracer was strong in Part 1, Phase 1, we actually didn't see her get picked up as often, and she wasn't banned out on this battleground because she has a harder time here. But we've gotten to a point where teams are getting much more effective of breaking sidewalls and pushing with Punishers, where I can see Tracer actually being strong if she does get picked up.
Yeah. It's also, we have seen a fair amount of Tracer on the map here. It's still a matter of concern. What I want to see is if Fnatic picks Diablo.
Yeah, especially on this battleground. Fnatic thinking about it here. What do they want to move into? Diablo strong here, and Tomb of the Spider Queen. Lots of control around the turn-in points and the grab points.
I mean, once again, Stukov excels. Malfurion and Stukov are both fantastic here because they have those AoE spells that he can use at any entrance. Genji already picked, and there's Stukov. So Stukov highlighted this time over Malfurion as a pick that would still allow Dignitas to go into Tracer and Malfurion. Keep in mind, Dignitas already played Tracer once on this map. Now, if we look at Dignitas in general, they have played 3 times on Infernal Shrines, and in one of the games they chose a Tracer composition and they were victorious with it. So they could go into Tracer if they wanted to, then possibly with Malfurion to zone out the entrances. I could see a ban against Diablo even. I think Fnatic has a couple of really good options in terms of tanks, but as we heard before, Breeze currently feels that a lot of the weight is on his shoulders to carry his team and have the impact at the front line. And I think he personally believes that with Diablo, he has the most impact. But that's not going to be an option, because Dignitas says, well, we know about that too, and you know what, Diablo, we agree, is pretty strong right now, so we're going to pick it away.
I'm really worried for Fnatic here. Dignitas' opening is incredibly powerful for this battleground. You've had the Hanzo that they've been on point with the constant Dragon Arrows at Force of Fights. Diablo is something that JPL's been spamming like crazy in Hero League. He's also really great on the hero, and with it just being this battleground, I don't know if Fnatic will be able to even contest around the Shrine Faces. I know we only have 2 heroes, but...
No, I mean, they definitely need something that can contest Diablo at the front. If they don't have that, then they are in trouble. So I could see Tychus, for example, being played by them, going into a Leoric or something along the lines. Tychus more so than Leoric. I like the idea of a Tacita ban, I have to say, because if I look at what Dignitas is running, if you have just heroes to keep Sonya and Hanzo alive throughout the entire team fight and sustain them with the added AoE of Tacita, I think that would be a very deadly composition to go up against and potentially be an auto loss for Fnatic. So I really like that Tacita is now taken away.
It also kind of reads that Fnatic is going to go to a point where they finish their draft, or they go toe-to-toe and not try to dive. Typically, you'll leave a Tacit up if you want to go for a dive composition, because he melts pretty quickly. So I do feel like that Tychus that you mentioned might come out, but who's going to play that for Fnatic? Would that be Mane?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, they still have a bit of overlap there. I could also see that Quackness says, I'm okay with playing. Well, Quackness is going to be on Genji. We have seen Mane on Genji. I would still expect Quackness to go on Genji, and then Mane if they go for Tychus on Tychus. Question is, can they really pull that off? Because they played Tychus only once, and they lost that game. But he would fit here. And if not, then we could say, for example, Greymane maybe even. Try and play around Curse Bullet, play Greymane.
True. Okay, Dig thinking about their ban here. It's going to be that Tychus.
Yeah.
I was wondering if Leorg may have been a choice as well, but Tychus seems to be the frontliner for them.
Makes a lot of sense to ban him out. I mean, we've been talking about Tychus ever since Diablo got picked with the setup that Dignitas has and with Fnatic needs to pick. That could force them now into Greymane, as we said, play Curse Bullet, try and chunk Diablo down whenever they got the opportunity to do so.
Is Gul'dan too scary against Diablo and Sonya? I feel like
I would be scared of
it's kind of scary to pick here.
Gul'dan has a lot of really good arguments in his favor. The problem is that I think he's going to be bullied a lot.
Yeah. Trying to think of any mages that Fnatic can go down. Well,
I'm not really I mean,
I think it's
mages
just
are going to be rough here.
Yeah, I think it's just a Greymane. But we haven't seen Greymane yet this series. He seems to have taken a back seat for a lot of our teams.
Yep.
Leo and ETC comes out. They're going to leave open their other damage to find out what exactly Dignitas wants to play here.
So we're still waiting for... ETC makes sense. Leoric makes sense as well. I think Fnatic would have preferred to go into Diablo, but now that he's taken away, they go into ETC instead. And Breeze had some really nice moves with ETC in their past few games, even though they lost those maps. But they leave Mane's pick open, so they're very flexible with that. There are still a couple of mages that you could play. I'm just not quite sure if you can really break through what Dignitas is running here.
Yeah.
But Fnatic is willing to keep their draft flexible and wait for Dignitas to show their hand.
So supports, are we thinking Malfurion here? Rhaegar could work.
Both, yeah. Malfurion, Rhaegar could absolutely work. You could even play Uther against this.
Yeah.
You have the Divine Shield for Sonya, you have Divine Shield for Hanzo.
Uther helpful against Genji too when he dives in. A little bit more lockdown. A little
But
bit more control.
Malfurion seems to be like the better option. You have also the silence available to you. Twilight Dream. But again, this is really a flexible pick. This is one where they can flex out. They go into Uther for the Divine Shield. And again, the Rat.
Uther and Junkrat. So Fnatic, again, thinking about their damage here. Will they go with an oldie, one that they play pretty often, that Greybane? Will he even be able to get in the backline here, though, against Junkrat, Uther, Diablo, Sonya? Even Greymane worries me a little bit. I feel like Team Dignitas got an insane draft for this battleground.
Yeah, I would agree. Their draft is really, really scary.
Is there anything that is completely bonkers here?
Jaina again. I mean, again, I like the Jaina play in general that we saw from Jaina. It's just you need to deal with Diablo somehow. And it's going to be rough later on when he's fully stacked and kept alive here. But the idea of the combo that they had in the first play wasn't a bad one. The power slide, the burst damage of Jaina, with the very linear approach that Dignitas had on Towers of Doom. Mane could do so much. It was just this one death in the late game that really screwed everything for him. It came at the perfect time for Dignitas. Dignitas played it smart every time they had an advantage. But outside of that, Jaina had a pretty big impact in the Towers game.
She did. I'm just worried about her impact on the Shrine phase here. She has pretty high cooldowns, especially on that Blizzard. I believe it's 14 seconds to even grab this Shrine. Then you look at what they have. They have ECC maybe with the Echo Pedal. Leoric a little bit is decent on the Shrine, but then you look over at Sony, who's going to be clearing those consistently. And they have a strong front line to make sure their Hanzo never gets in trouble.
You have Leoric, so you can play around Leoric when it comes to Shrine clear. But ideally, of course, they would try and take control of the Shrine and win the team fight.
Yeah, get a kill.
Yeah, if they can get a kill, that's all they, at this point, need to do. And they have Stukov for the added silencer. If they really execute this properly, there's a lot of potential here. You can see an Entomb into Stukov silence, into an ETC mosh pit. You have so many things that you can really just combo off in the setup that would look really strong for them and get insta-kills. The problem is getting that coordination, getting that wombo off. That's going to be rough, especially with Uther being around and just saying like, yep, there's a Divine Shield, you're fine.
I don't know, I'm a little worried here. I think Dignitas might have the 3-0 in the bag based on the strat, but let's see if Fnatic is able to pull it out here as we head to game number 3, Infernal Shrines. Dignitas on the left.
Dignitas with Zelia on Uther. Once again, Snitch on Junkrat. We have Wooby on Sonya, Poik on Hanzo, and JPL on Diablo.
On the right side in the red, Quacknick's playing Genji, Breeze on ETC, Bad Bunny on Leorix, Mexi playing Stukov, and Mane on Jaina. It's going to be Fnatic.
And of course, once again, the Junkrat plays here on the side of Dignitas. A fantastic hero for them so far in not only the Western Clash, but also season. The interesting part that Junkrat didn't really get played too much before the teams came back from the Western Clash, at least not on the side of Dignitas. But by now, they're sitting at a pretty comfortable win rate with him. They've now won 3 games with him, only lost 1, and could, of course, increase this even more. Regular season speaking, of course.
Junkrat being annoying, but so is Genji, who, by the way, has yet to pick his level 1. There we go, adjusting the build here, going for a Swift Strike build. Bad Bunny should be heading that top lane soon to soak up that lane, and I'm watching this rotation here from Fnatic. Will we be able to have Breeze open up any fights here and get a couple of kills? Because I feel like if Fnatic can get a good, strong footing here, especially similar to what we saw on Towers of Doom, that's where they excel. Confidence seems to be a really important thing for them as of late.
Yeah, it does, but I again feel that they played pretty strong here in comparison. Wooby, man, Breeze not getting in the perfect position to get the damage out here. They don't have Mane with them for the quick burst, but still putting Wooby under some pressure is going to make it very easy for Bad Bunny to run the top lane. So again, rotations towards your solo lane are always awesome, because if you can chunk the opponent down to half HP, and you don't, it's not a trade-off, you don't lose experience somewhere else on the map, you make it easier for your solo laner to win that lane. That's also the reason why we just had Poik rotate over, because they realized with Wooby already having to tap this early on in the game, Leoric would have handily won that. So they needed to send someone in to put pressure on Leoric, so to equalize the score on the lane a bit, and that's exactly what Dignitas did here.
It's all about balancing those resources, making them both use wells, putting them on even footing in the lane. Leo and Sonya now in a pretty decent spot compared to the ganks that Fnatic and Dignitas just pulled off. Now we're getting to a point where those 4-mans are starting to dictate that middle to bottom lane, and so far, Quacknick is actually looking for a kill on Snitch, but Zelia lurking around the corner, able to bring in that last-second heal.
Nice jukes also from Snitch part here, making it really hard for Genji to confirm the kill. But the pressure is definitely there. And Fnatic is in a spot where they just need to shake off these 2 kills. We've just seen yesterday that teams are able to get these reverse sweeps going, and Dignitas did a fantastic job against Liquid. Now the question is, can Fnatic follow it through to at least win a few maps and maybe even go for a reverse sweep themselves? Nice invade, already the rotation is happening, and this is something that Dignitas has just been doing the entire match. Getting these camps, stealing them away from Fnatic. They've done it over and over again on Dragonshire.
Why not show, or at least attempt to, right? You have Junkrat go forward, drop down the trap, Uther steps up, and it looks like Diablo might be coming from the top all the way down to the bottom lane. Fnatic has to respect that with Dignitas' ability to control the area. So not a bad play at all from them, and it's been paying off this entire series.
Yeah, and the mercenary control from Dignitas in general is just fantastic, and it showcases again as the Shrine is taken. They claim the top left, Fnatic hasn't taken their own yet. And really cool move here also by Snitch, putting some extra pressure onto Quacknick, but eating a fair amount of damage himself. So let's see who's going to take the first one here. Fnatic is starting us off with position on the Shrine, but Poik, of course, with these scatter arrows, getting a lot of AoE damage through. And yeah, time to shine at this point. Let's see how much the combo with Mane can pull off. Can Breeze find the target, and can Smexy follow it up?
Wooby's finally here. Junkrat's on the double soak duty. Something to note is that Dignitas got that top lane pushing, so JPL will have to escape here. Should be able to get away nicely. 18 to 14 in terms of control.
This was only possible because Smexy was half a second too late with the silence. If the silence is absolutely spot on, JPL cannot dash out. That's what just happened here, so that could have been a kill. And it just shows the margin of error on this level is insanely small.
Speaking of errors, Fnatic had to back up to clear that top lane, and they are ahead 35 to 29, but Dignitas is making a case to fight their own Shrine here, 36 to 32.
Dignitas is level 7.
Oh my gosh, and Fnatic is able to grab the first Punisher. Well done by them.
Yeah, against the talent advantage on Dignitas' side, so well done for sure. They're going to grab up the talent now, and they can start to push with it. Question is, how much do they get? The bait is, of course, going to happen. JPL is just already sitting there trying to bait the Punisher over, providing vision from behind the wall that triggers the Punisher to jump in. and now we have the defense started out. But ideally, you want to at least take a few of these towers away so that you get a slight lead in experience.
Yep, it looks like they should be able to. First turret down, second one down as well. And they have Jaina in the bottom lane as well as Leo on the top. So soaking the experience and taking that slight lead we were just mentioning, jumping up to level 8. So again, a similar theme compared to game 1 and game number 2. Fnatic hanging in there against Dignitas, but where's that breaking point? Where does Dignitas find the situation for Fnatic to fall apart?
Or vice versa.
Exactly, which we're hoping for.
I wouldn't mind a game 4.
I wouldn't mind a game 5.
Yeah.
We'll see if Fnatic can hold it here. Looking a little bit more composed, 0-0 in kills. Similar to Dragonshire as well. It's really a theme here for Fnatic, is they're hanging in with Dignitas. It's just Dignitas finds that 1 to 2 opportunities that gets them that win. And hopefully Fnatic can squander that here so we selfishly get more games.
Yeah, Quacknick's already dashing in deep after the mine was used, and it's all about, I feel a lot of this is really going to hinge on Smex in particular. He's the one who can interrupt a lot of the plays that Dignitas wants to make. He's the one who can also, has to lead up whenever they want to try and make a kill. We saw that attempt to burst down Diablo earlier, and that would have been successful if he would have used it a bit faster. You can't really blame him there. I mean, once the call is made, he basically immediately started to set the lurking arm into motion, but it just hits half a second too late, and that allows JPL to move out. And it showcases also that JPL absolutely understands how dangerous these comps are. He had that ready the entire time, and once that he saw Breeze even just moving in, he immediately hammered the hotkey and said, like, yeah, I need to get out of here.
Speaking of that danger, Breeze comes with the power slide. They jump straight on a Poik. A heal from Xaylia will keep him alive, but JPL might not be so lucky here. Low on health and getting chunked. Breeze will have the power slide up pretty soon, and a Bad Benny joining on the fight. JPL will get picked off. Xaylia possibly as well. There goes the Swift Strike for Quatnix, and that's a dead Uther. Fnatic with 2 kills to 0 and a stolen camp.
Really well done. So first of all, this time they get the camp, and also that was a really cool drain hope that we saw from Bad Benny. Just moving it past Uther more or less, so he finds the perfect angle to get that through. Very well done by them. And now, if you just compare what we are seeing here, we are first of all have already the first reward taken on the side of Fingers of Frost. Already have that. And we have at the same time now the Prog Rock completed. So that's going to help them in the bigger team fights around Shrines. But that was a very, very nice fight this time for Fnatic, where they didn't give up the camp. They fought for it, and they had a cool position to stack their CCs and their interrupts to make sure that they confirm kills against Diablo and Uther.
And they have a lead too, 11 to 10.5, and almost a fort. That fort is a couple auto attacks from me and taken out. Good news for Dignitas though, they have 10 now themselves. Riptire coming online, as well as that Dragon Zero and Apox. So some possible wombo combo setup, as well as just a focus on one target is definitely available here for Dig. And a good time too, with Shrine activating in about 15 seconds.
We've seen Hanzo arrows into Apocalypse, and this is one of the threats for Fnatic, especially when we're talking about Shrine fights themselves, since everybody is stacking up on those. So up at the top, Shrine is soon to be taken. Seems like Fnatic is trying to confirm the fort at the bot lane here. Don't really even think they need to go for that necessarily. First of all, it should be falling by itself soon, but also you're not going to get level 13. But I feel they're trying to get Junkrat here instead.
Junkrat comes down for defense. There's the Stukov. As you were mentioning, Snitch drops a Riptire, and Breeze comes in from behind. He actually was not spotted until now, and him hiding in the corners, lurking just enough, secures the kill.
Yep, they get the rat. The question is, what do they give up for it? Because they are doing what now? Pushing the bot lane and trying to already soften up the keep wall. It seems like that's the thought process. Give up the Punisher, get experience down here, drop a few structures, and get level 13 in the process so that you can defend against the Punisher with a talent advantage. That seems to be the idea that they have. And it's not a bad one, to be honest. If they get value out of that, then that's absolutely fine. As long as they can defend with a level 13 talent advantage, the Punisher shouldn't do too much, and then you're in an okay spot. But they need to force Dignitas to take the Punisher, so someone needs to start rotating top to put pressure onto the Shrine so that Dignitas takes the last minion. Because as you see, they have 39 out of 40, since Dignitas is trying to delay this for as long as they possibly can now.
Exactly. They're trying to get their own 13 here, so they can be on an even talent tier against Fnatic when they go for that push with the Punisher. They have Junkrat too, who can soak consistently on the side lane, so Dignitas is under no pressure here. Fnatic thinking about maybe forcing a team fight, pushing in the middle wave, keeping those mercenaries as well, and they even bring Bad Benny towards the area to look for that fight. Quatnix already putting some damage on this fort as well.
And Mena is taking another camp, pretty easily, of course. Alright, 13 to 7 for Fnatic. Dignitas is going to get it as well. Punisher is taken. Again, shouldn't get too much done. Mena actually is just solo camping the entire time. I think he's thinking he's Gazlo or something.
I didn't want to say it. I got you. You don't see those Janas peeling off and do that too much, but hey, he's getting those lane pushing. He's trying to keep Junkrat's attention.
I mean, there's a reason why Janas usually don't do that a lot, because if you see them, they're dead.
Yeah, you're just going for the invade.
Yeah, but they had full vision, so they could easily just go in and tell Mena, hey, drop your cooldowns on the camps, take those two, and then we play around that. So Punisher at the top lane is being defended against as we speak, has done some damage, but Fnatic is still holding the lead in experience. And they opened up the bot lane to an extent. So it's still fine for both teams. Fnatic has found the kills in this game, but also the one thing to keep in mind is that Dignitas by now has the fully stacked Diablo. So first of all, a lot harder to drop. Second of all, it's going to be back in the fight right away.
And that's 13 and 16 times. The Shadow Charge talents coming online. Junkrat being in a spot where now he's becoming a little bit more threatening, pushing in that top lane, working on that fort. Bad Benny goes in for defense. Dignitas has definitely held on here. And now Fnatic's in a spot where they need to decide, all right, do we want to try and force some fights? Do we want to try and grab this next shrine? If we get there first, can we out-macro our opponent? And so far, that's been their attempts, but the wave clear for Dignitas is so strong. You have Sonya, who does pretty well herself in a lane. You have Junkrat there. You even have Hanzo with good scatter arrows. Team Dignitas starting to find their footing, even come to the top lane and finally secure that fort, which gives them a nice chunk of experience as they try to stay here against Fnatic, who is a full level ahead.
Fnatic immediately pushes out the wave in the mid lane, positions Quacknix in the shrub to make sure that they know when the rotation is coming, and he's the one who has the easiest time moving out next to Breeze. So still the lead in experience. Haven't put too much pressure onto the fort in the mid lane, but we are still looking at a situation in which Fnatic now is in a spot where they themselves in the mid lane have a fort available, still on pretty healthy. Dignitas theirs is on 50%, and the next shrine is going to be a mid lane shrine. Both teams have, on the other hand, already lost their fountain.
Dignitas should be able to defend this camp that's going to be pushing it pretty soon, but Fnatic wisely is waiting on grabbing it. Want to push that during that shrine. Dig will have their own in about 6 seconds to that top left. An attempt on Snitch, and that's why he is a pretty strong split pusher, being able to jump away from a fight. If that was Azul, for instance, he would probably be dead, but Junkrat able to clear it up and get out.
JPL double checking the bush here. Camp has not been taken, by the way, so Fnatic has still, they can at any point tap the camp to the top right. But Dignitas has now theirs available to the top left too. But look at the experience, 15 versus 16, the talent advantage for Fnatic. This is why now Dignitas is starting to play more passive, but they're splitting on the map. And they've been pushing out the lanes because they're trying to make sure that they get the 16 talent as fast as they can. Now, Fnatic had the option to invade the top left, but they didn't want to expose themselves this heavily, and it also would have opened up a potential push at the bot lane for Dignitas. So Fnatic is still trying to counter-push the lanes and not lose too much ground here. They're willing to fight against Dignitas on eye level with even talents once the shrine activates, which is in 30 seconds.
And they're also just trying to stay away from chokes, with the Apocalypse coming in, as well as the Riptire. A little bit too much AoE damage and AoE spells that would be a little bit too hard for them to deal with. So I like the hesitance to not push in for those fights. Wubby and JPL start the bottom lane Merc camps, trying to snag those away, seeing that Fnatic was in the middle lane. But Leo might be able to come in and scout this out here.
Stukov taking the camp, and Junkrat is going to take the one to the top left. I believe they took it earlier, right? Didn't they? No, they didn't. Okay, so only one camp pushing. So that gives Fnatic a bit of an edge at the top lane. Another camp taken, it will push through the middle. So Fnatic is now trying to do something that Dignitas has consistently done throughout the series. Camp pressure and timing it properly with the objectives. The only lane that's pushing for Dignitas is the one at the bottom, far away from the shrine. But here comes the arrow, and the Apocalypse comes out as well. Silence is through, the Riptire is in, Breeze is still alive. Tries to go for the Mosh Pit, it gets interrupted and he's on the way out, but we have immediately the Ring of Frost being used. Not a lot of damage on the side of Mena just yet, but Dignitas has to move out and they blew all of their cooldowns with the exception of Divine Shield.
I feel like this is a fight that's already been won for Dignitas though, but hang on, a silence comes out and there goes the Dragon Blade landing it straight on top of Wubby.
Divine Shield actually hit Sonya, hit Diablo instead of Sonya. They were trying to keep Sonya in play, but now Fnatic is absolutely in control of the shrine. Even though they lost Leoric, they're trying to get those stacks, and from the outside we have Junkrat poking, but Poik is down. Hanzo eliminated as Snitch is now also exposing himself here. Mena has the vision, but he jumps out. Ooh, Genji barely swift striking out as we saw Zelia and Diablo going for it. Stukov with a shove, 37 against 35. This is so close!
JPL's going for it, getting the auto attacks in, 38 to 37. 2 more for both of our teams. JPL goes for the auto attack, but Fnatic is able to snag it. JPL trying to go for the retreat. Quentin is coming in for the kill, and that will also reset the souls.
Resetting the souls, Diablo will be back, but what a fight! 7 kills against 1, and the setup was so good for Dignitas at this start. The perfect arrow. Poik with a boss ult right there, getting a massive stun against 3. The Apocalypse comes through. Great synergy. Sonya even dying right now. This is a disaster for Dignitas. And it started off so well. This was such a great start into the battle.
The silence from Stukov just being really annoying in that fight, being able to grab 2 to 3 members, and the Divine Shield missing, as you mentioned, started that domino effect here that Fnatic is pushing.
The Smex God.
The Smex God coming in there, man.
Pulling out the kills, yeah, that was it was fantastic play by Smexy, no doubt about it. And then, of course, Breeze able to move out, and they just dodged everything here. But at this point, they haven't taken a keep yet. This isn't over, and the Riptire comes in, and Breeze is in trouble. They get the kill against him. Divine Shield keeps Diablo alive, and all of a sudden, with Sonya coming back, this is still a 4 versus 4. And there's no keep that foil. They took down the fort in the mid lane. They got a massive experience lead, but Dignitas is still holding on to this.
The help away clear of a Junkrat and the Riptire, just enough to keep them in here. JPL low on health, fearless, knowing that Zillia was back there to help him with the Divine Shield, helping secure the kill, and with ETC down, Fnatic had to back away. But still good news for Fnatic. They were able to open up the map here pretty aggressively, getting the wall on the top and the middle, and they're close to getting level 20.
Big engage down at the bot lane here, and Smexy is in a lot of trouble. Smexy should fall here, and he dies. This is exactly what Fnatic cannot allow Dignitas to do, to stagger these depths and to take full control. So Fnatic just needs to take a chill pill and sit quiet for a little bit. Wait until Stukov is back, wait until ETC is back, and stop feeding. Because right now, they need to make sure that Dignitas doesn't claim an early 20. And to be honest, with a kill just against Stukov, that's another 40 seconds where Dignitas can control the map, can clear the waves, can clear the lanes, and can take structures, which will close the gap in experience.
And they know this too. They are being bold in this bottom lane. We'll be going forward to soak that experience. There's that 19. Junkrat in the top lane. Fnatic is in a spot where they can go for an aggressive push if they can find someone to pick off, but no one is presenting themselves as an option. Even Uther here was just out of range from Quatnix, deciding to even go in for the engage. Wubby Mystical Spears out, and there's that 19 and a quarter you were talking about. And it looks like Dig will be able to get 20 before that next shrine.
Yeah. That seems that's going to be the case, which means, again, that it comes down to, first of all, the positioning of the Punisher, which in this case is at the top lane, but also to another big team fight. And Fnatic has done a great job on the last one, but all that he needs this late in the game is one fight that you lose where you get wiped, and all of a sudden your opponent can take the Punisher, move through the keep, and go for core.
I'm excited for that team fight. We saw the play of the game into the Diablo APOC, into a Sonya follow-up. Didn't quite get the kills that they wanted, but still something that is available here for Dignitas. But Fnatic managed that well. ETC able to knock away the important kills.
And the combo is so scary. They got nearly... This could have been a wipe against Fnatic if not for Smexy reacting so fast and Breeze then saving the day. Again, there was also an interrupt against the mosh pit, which of course worked in Dignitas' favor as Fnatic was trying to turn it around even harder. But now there's 20 versus 20, and that's exactly what we've been talking about. So now we have Redemption taken on Uther. That alone already is scary. And we see the Hellgate for Diablo. So let's find out if Dignitas can actually make this happen now, turn the game around, make it a 3-0, or if Fnatic is still able to win these team fights.
Breeze set up for a possible flank, but it was scattered out by Hanzo and Zillia.
There's a couple of things to still mention. First of all, Main has not completed Frostbite yet, so he doesn't have an Ice Block. And we also have JPL at 76 stacks, so he's not fully stacked. So he's a bit more vulnerable than he usually would be.
Jaina in the top left, speaking of them. When he comes in, there's going to be the Entomb. Hardened Shield popped up. We're going to have Sonya moving in for the engage. Brings out a little bit of damage, and Jaina gets deleted. Mosh pit here. Only Diablo is caught. Zillia on the back left side still has a Divine Shield. Gives it over to Junkrat, who starts to work in those auto attacks. Bad Benny getting lower and lower. Will fall to the top right corner, but Leoric eventually gets picked off, and Quatnix looks to be next.
Double kill against them. Quatnix about to fall here. Barely healed by Smexy, but that's exactly the problem. Once that Jaina is gone, you can mosh pit 5, and it doesn't matter. The damage just simply isn't there. So this is exactly the problem. The fight starts off pretty well for Fnatic as they are able to trap Sonya and put the pressure on her. No combo with Hanzo arrow into Apocalypse on the side of Team Dignitas, but they lead with the APOC. The arrow comes out afterwards, and Jaina is down. And once you kill Jaina, the fight is over. And Dignitas is now moving through, and they don't want the keep here. They want the core. They're trying to move through this immediately. And for Fnatic, this is a nightmare. This is the third time in a row where they look strong, and all of a sudden, the entire setup turns against against them.
And Wubby is just leading that charge. Jaina here in about 5 seconds, so Team Dignitas is going to look for a kill. Try to grab Breeze, but is able to power slide out. Bad Benny with the Wraith Walk will disappear. This keep has been destroyed, and this Punisher is still at 3/4 of health.
At this point, if you want to kill, Dignitas wants to kill and then they want to go for a core. And if they can pull it off, that would be great. But maybe there's a counter kill here. Bad Benny is about to fall, keeps himself alive a little bit longer, but Amin is already under trouble. Drops another Blizzard. Whoopi is down. He's dead. Whoopi down. A trade 1-for-1. And at this point, the question, can Fnatic somehow hold it here? The Punisher wants a piece of the action and he gets it. The double kill against Stukov and against Jaina as Dignitas goes for the triple, goes for the quad kill, and goes for the core.
Only Quatnix is left here. The core is starting to fall, and it doesn't look like he'll be able to defend this. Team Dignitas, even falling behind the Fnatic here and gain him a 3, still finds another way to win team fights and, of course, go on to win the game. They are going to 3-0 Fnatic on this Saturday.
Great play by Dignitas, but at the same time, Fnatic with a throw. At that point, they have the Punisher, the first one in the mid-game, oh sorry, I think it was the third one? Yeah. They have the Punisher, they get their kills, and then all of a sudden there's a rotation from Dignitas, they move to the bot lane and they get a double kill. They take Smexy out just after they took out ETC, and Fnatic just too far out, too aggressive, too greedy. And they played well. Fnatic had an amazing series. They had great games here, but at the end of the day, it only matters which wins you can confirm. And that's where Fnatic just struggled. That's where Dignitas excelled. They always saw an opportunity, they took it, they won the games, and the result is a 3-0. Dignitas with the perfect match here, and that's, of course, fantastic for their standings.
Yeah, this is one of those weird scenarios where it kind of sucks to be Fnatic, right? Because we look at Fnatic, and although they get 3-0 today, we thought they looked great. And if this was any other team, I'm pretty sure they'd be pretty happy with their performance. But Fnatic themselves are expected to be elite, and they're going to have a lot of people kind of criticizing what happened today. But I think if we objectively step back and look at what happened, Fnatic looked great. And I can't wait to see more of the matches, especially next week. Yeah,
and also from a Karma perspective, we've seen an insane amount of crazy core calls by Fnatic in Phase 1, Part 1, where you thought, okay, that game is lost.
Yeah.
And they somehow turned it around, and well...
Today, not so lucky.
Today, it just didn't work out that way. But again, they played well. They could have, should have won Infernal Shrines and Towers of Doom. But Dignitas just was a bit smarter. And that's what really matters at the end. You can have fantastic fights, but if you win fights and you can't capitalize on it properly, you can't run with the advantages that you have, then you sometimes just don't deserve to win the game. And that's what we saw there. Fnatic walks away after the third Punisher with a 2-level lead. They cannot confirm the kill against the keep itself, so there's no lane pressure. And then they just stagger 2 deaths, and out of that, all of a sudden, Dignitas emerges with a 20 versus 20 fight over the last Punisher, and they win it. They take it successfully, even though it didn't start well against them. But they find the one target they need to take down. They go for Jaina, and there's no Divine Shield. There is no Ancestral. Smexy's doing what he can to keep everyone alive. Yeah. But once the drop is hit, once they get on Jaina, she's without an ice block, just dead.
And with that being said about Dignitas, they come through a big weekend with 2 major wins, 1 over Team Liquid and now Fnatic. Let's go over to Snitch, who is ready to talk about those matches. Snitch, how's it going, man? You get a 3 over Fnatic. Do you expect them to put up such a fight, though?
Yeah, I think the exact same.
I think the exact same thing. We don't have audio.
You're really eloquent there. I like the way that you phrased that because I couldn't have said it better myself.
We could just dub over if you want.
Yeah.
Snitch, well, I'm just super happy to be here. I love being Snitch. It's one of my favorite things in the world, and I had a really good stream. We still can't hear him, and I dominated on Junkrat, and I'm glad that he is a really important hero, and this is me smiling because I'm handsome.
Okay, give me a second right now.
Just taking out Quack left and right, Diablo going in.
I want a shot at it too. So first of all, Snitch, my question is going to be, Fnatic looked actually pretty strong game number 2 and number 3. What's your personal thought? Do you think you could win these games? I actually think that Fnatic did really well in those games, and at the beginning it actually looked as we were falling behind a little bit, but you know, we were patient, we knew our moment would come, and at some point we just went in straight away, we confirmed those kills, and then we obliterated them. Diablo went in, and apocalypse everywhere, boom, and everybody died.
I think that's exactly what he said here. So we're going to try one more time here to connect with Snitch here. So give us a second as we try to figure out what exactly is going on with technology. Technology, I mean, am I right? It's so crazy, man. Yeah, I can never get it to work.
I think it is just not there yet.
I'm actually kind of excited that this doesn't work because I want to do shout-outs.
I want to go back. Like, can we go for the...
Yeah, all the big explosions and everything here. Josh, let us know when you're ready as we'll go ahead and continue to fill time. Snitch... looking super excited to talk, but just can't do it today here
The
on
question
the HGC.
is, I think he could hear us, right?
Yeah, he can hear us. Like, he definitely knows what's going on. So,
okay, awesome.
we just have that connection not quite happening. Let's go ahead and look at the schedule here for today, as we do have more matches coming your way as we try to get that little slip-up fixed up.
We haven't talked about Crazy Quarter Lady yet. Like, we have so much stuff to talk about.
So much material.
Josh, we don't need schedules. We have so much to talk about here to our audience.
Well,
but yeah,
the schedule is here.
Yeah, Method versus Leftovers later on. Dignitas with a 3-0 victory already. Yeah, 8-1 now in the standings. Looking strong here.
Yeah. Big 3-0, big victories for them. I think the next match that I'm looking forward to is Dignitas versus Zealots. Zealots beat them the first time last phase, right before we went to the Western Clash, and Zealots looking strong, so it'll be great to see that. But later on, Method and Leftovers will be going toe-to-toe. And very curious matchup, mostly because Method had a hard time at the Western Clash, getting knocked out by North American teams, going 0-2. They were a bit disappointed with their performance, so I want to see if they fix that up. But on the other side, Leftovers.
I got a question for you.
What's that?
Every single time Dignitas wins, Snitch is coming in, right?
Mm-hmm.
Do you think the rest of them doesn't like us?
Oh, maybe what it is. Zelia came once, though. It's just that you can only have Zelia once in a lifetime.
That was probably because Snitch was sick.
Yeah. Well, we have Snitch back. Snitch, can I hear
Hello?
you? Snitch!
Oh,
You made it?
What's going on, buddy? Big win today over Fnatic. How you feeling?
Yeah, I think Fnatic did really good today, but I think our key in this series was kind of in the moment decisions. I think we were just a little bit faster at everything, which kind of led us to taking a lot of the team fights and a lot of the key moments, even when it looked like we were like really far behind. I think we were really good at making like the important plays to get back into the game.
I think I heard that before.
Yeah,
I think one of us already said that.
I think somebody done that over you.
I was trying to remember exactly what you said so I could repeat it, but it was a really long ramble. So.
Snitch is a team player, man. Let's go ahead and talk a little bit more about Fnatic, too, because I feel like Caldor and I sit up here and we watched Fnatic play, and we felt like they played well today. Is that something that's echoed in your thoughts, and is it something that fans shouldn't be so critical about? Because I feel like Fnatic is expected to be an elite team, but whenever they underperform or get 3-0'd, they get a lot of criticism. Do you feel like they, as a team, are still up there in those top 3-4 here in HGC Europe?
Oh, for sure. I think all the players, are very high caliber. I don't think, any of them are not deserving to be at the top 4 team that they are. Like, they all perform really well, like, regularly. Like, you see a lot of series, like, even at the Western Clash, like, obviously Quack wasn't playing, but they still looked really good as a team. Like, I think they are fully capable of stepping up when required, and I don't think they deserve a lot of the flack they get. I think it's just been very hard for them to transition from playing with a roster they had for such a long time. Even with the case of like Mene, like obviously we were Dignitas together for such a long time as well, so it's still a big transition for him. And Bad Benny is kind of his first time being on like this team with all the hype. Like I think they're all still trying to adapt to getting used to this kind of like new place in the scene, and it's just been a hard time for them.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Snitch. Over to Caldor.
So after we already got most of the important questions out of the way earlier when you were coming in for the first time, I have actually something really specific to the draft and to the way that teams approach it, because we've been always talking a bit about how you guys, for example, had a very clear idea what you wanted the base of your composition to be like. You played very similar comps in most of the games. Do you feel from Fnatic's perspective it was a mistake to not try and target ban some of the stuff or pick it away? Or do you feel that them coming in and saying, no, we can deal with this is the right approach? Basically, the question comes down to, do you feel they're a little bit too stubborn with the way that they're trying to go up against a similar composition on your end over and over again? Or do you feel that this is okay as long as they believe they have the key to win with it, with what they have and what you play, as long as they make the right choices within the game, if that makes sense to you?
I know what you're saying. I think it's hard to attribute it to stubbornness. I think with a match like this, it's the week 1. So you have to remember that us and Fnatic, we haven't played each other for 2 to 3 weeks. Yeah. So for both sides, like we have no information at all about what the other team want to play. So I think both teams' best bet is just coming in with what they think is good, I think Fnatic can look at what we did yesterday, and even with us against Liquid, the first 2 games, it looked really bad because what we had wasn't really working into what they had, and we had to adapt. I do think, like, for example, in game 3, when they took the Stukov, that is an example of them adapting to what we were doing. That is a example of them trying to, like, turn the series by taking some of the picks, but we just still ended up with a draft we were confident with, and we were able to take the game. But I do think the first 2 games, they can be excused for like thinking maybe the first game's just a fluke, Yeah. The second game we can have a better go. So I don't think they're wrong to do what they did. I think it's just a hard situation, and it's just one of those things where because it's the first week, if you come out with the worst meta, you just get outmatched.
Okay, coming back to this, and especially the draft that you guys had on Game 3, you went for Diablo, and going into the draft, it's actually one of the things that we expected from Fnatic to potentially go for, that Breeze would like to go for Diablo. Was that also the thought process on your end and one of the reasons why you wanted Diablo, not only because he's strong here, but because you wanted to pick him away from Fnatic, or was that just a coincidence?
I think it's really just a bit of everything. We think Diablo's very strong on Infernal Shrines. You know, we have a history of playing it before in the past. Obviously, Fnatic also do. Like, Breeze is obviously a very, very good Diablo player. We were very aware that they could take it in the first 2 slots. We were definitely thinking about, yeah, maybe we won't get the Diablo here. Is it more important than the Sonya? No, there was a lot of conversations like that because we did think it was very important, but they gave up here. Maybe like they were a little bit too afraid of the Stukov because of the earlier games. You know, it could be, you know, anything. But yeah, we were definitely thinking about, you know, Fnatic loves Diablo on this map, but we could also play it. So it's a good pick to take.
All right, awesome. Thank you very much.
Awesome. Before we get ready for our next matchup, we have Method versus Leftovers. I want to hear your thoughts on that match, and who do you think's going to win it?
I'm pretty confident Method will win it. I think Leftovers have been improving a lot, but I think Method are just the stronger team overall. And I think with the practice they've been doing recently, like, I hope that they found some good ideas. You know, we've been scrimming them a fair amount, so I'm pretty confident the Method will be able to have some good strats and drafts and be able to take the series quite convincingly.
Awesome. We're looking forward to that, but it's time for you to drop some shoutouts, and I want some Giga shoutouts from you.
Some Giga shoutouts?
Some
Did you
Giga
just drop a
shoutouts.
Giga
I
on
dropped the
me,
Giga on you.
Ooh.
Trick
Well,
things these
Giga
days
shout-
is European now.
I'm trying to be lit, you know?
I respect it. Yeah, Giga shout out to my team. We played really well today. I'm glad we were able to take the 3-0. Shout out to Team Dignitas and our sponsors and all of our fans at the Discord. Wowie. I'm gonna drop a little thing for McIntyre over at Heroes Hearth. Hate to see it, my dude, but you know, congrats on your win yesterday. Thank you so much to the fans for watching today. We'll see you next week.
Always lovely to hear from Stitch as he comes in here and drops down those big old shoutouts. And McIntyre, man, you do hate to see that. I don't know what they're talking about, but we definitely hate to see that.
I like the first interview more, by the way.
Yeah, the first one was much better.
Yeah, he was a little bit more articulate, you know.
I actually want him for the next one to actually just do that and everything, just over-accentuate everything in his next interview. We have a little bit of a thing for you, Snitch. You better deliver next time. All right, guys, we got another match coming at you for HGC Europe on day number 2. Up next, Method versus Leftovers. We'll be right back.